It's kind of weird, isn't it? Yes, Jesus told us to be watchful, to be on guard, to be alert. Here's a big word for the younger ones: vigilant, sober, self-controlled, awake, wake up, be woke in a sense. And so we should kind of live, Jesus said, as if an alarm clock is going off continually in our minds and hearts. We should be always like this, prepared, ready. This is what Jesus said in the last video, if you remember. We talked about how that we will, no man knows a day or hour, not the angels don't know, and also Jesus. By the way, when he says day or hour, he didn't say that we won't know the season. I personally believe this passage still is about 70 AD and not something in the future. A very careful reading, a very plain reading seems to be pointing that way. But anyway, this verse 32, it says, if you remember, no one knows about the day or hour, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son. Of course, he does now, but only the Father. Then he says, be on guard, be alert. And he also adds, in some of the manuscripts, the word prayer happens. So pray. So be alert and pray. He says, take heed, or pay attention to this, discern this, think. He says, live as if you're living continually in a state of an alarm clock. He didn't say alarm clock, you know. But basically it should be awoke, you know, and ready. If you could see, Jesus was talking to the 4 apostles. They wrote this down. And then if you see these guys are in position, a posture of being awake and alert. Or I could put a soldier out there. A soldier is alert. Like if you're on the war ground, you're in the war zone, you're not going to be going, what's going on? You know, you're going to be what's going on. You're going to be not just sleepy. This fireman, this guy right here, is ready for business. He's ready to work. He's set. This is how we should be: set, alert, awake. The police officer, the same thing. You know, if he's on duty, and that's what this is about, being on duty, being ready, then he should be ready to do his duty as a police officer, or maybe as a security officer. You know, a security officer is paid to be watchful of the grounds of the office or the building or whatever. And this guy's on his vehicle traveling around. We should be in our spiritual vehicle ready. He's alert. They're all uniformed in their proper uniform, and we should be robed in righteousness and eagerness to follow Jesus, and we should be aware and beware and to be ready at all times. That's what Jesus wants us to be. Now, it's not important to calculate and figure out necessarily when Jesus Christ is coming back, you know, in the future. We're just be ready for him to come back. Ready or not, here I come. That's the disposition. That's the mindset that we should have. And so, you know, a lot of people are trying to figure out timelines and this and that and all that and what it really means. Jesus warned over and over that we should be alert. As a matter of fact, he already did it way back in the beginning of this whole chapter. The big theme of chapter 13 of Mark is watch, be ready. As a matter of fact, at the end of the verse, in verse 37, he even mentions, I say, watch. So be watchful. As a matter of fact, this is verse 32, 33 that he's saying, be watchful. 34 says it. 35 says it. And 37, 4 times. 33, 34, 35, and 37, 4 times. He keeps saying, watch, 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 watch. Are you getting it? We should be ready and watchful. And we have to beware and to be ready to fight and stand against anything. We should fight everything that stops us from being watchful and alert. Don't be lazy spiritually. Lethargy. It's just kind of like a sleepy drowsiness thing, you know, lethargic. It's a big word for you younger ones, but that's what it means. You don't want to spiritually sleep. Dullness, be sharp. Yeah, we should take a sharp look at, continually sharpen our look at, be aware. If you're in a war and you're watching for snipers and people that's going to fight against you, then you would be sharp looking. You'd be watching like that. Or if you're in a match, a wrestling match, boxing match, or whatever, or sports, you're aware there's an enemy there. There's an opponent. You have to be aware. You don't want to be dull. You got to fight dullness, like falling asleep spiritually. You need that alarm clock constantly going off. Watch, watch, watch. Why? Because you don't know the day or hour of Jesus' return, and so you should live in a watchful state, constantly being alert. Don't be like spiritually dead, a deadness to your mind. Get your mind going, sharp. Take a sharp look at, keep a sharp eye out for. Okay, deadness, sleepiness, spiritually sleeping. Apathy is just like kind of a state of you're passive, you're not active. You need to be awake, spiritually and mentally, Complacency means you kind of getting so used to everything. You can't be living in a state of comfort or a state of kind of a slowness. You don't want to be slow mentally and spiritually when it comes to God. And neglect is just not doing something that you should do. What if these guys were neglectful? The fireman or the police officer or this other police officer, don't neglect your duty. And Jesus over and over said, be watchful, be ready. In other words, when he comes, are you going to be ready? Now, this is definitely talk about to those apostles he's telling them, but it's us too. I mean, he is coming back. A full second bodily return, Jesus Christ is going to come back on a day and hour. We don't know when. And so you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. You need to be thoughtful about these things. So be watchful. I love that word watch. Just watch and pray. We need to be, our prayer life should not be cold. It should be warm. It should be on fire. It should be fervent. It should be consistent. It should be instant in prayer. You're ready to pray at any moment. We should be watchful and prayerful all the time. I hope you got that. Please take hold of this and own it, that we live in a condition of being alert and watchful. Watchful against the enemy coming and attacking you, temptations and all that. And watchful, in this passage, he's really telling them to be watchful for the day or hour that Jesus Christ is coming back. And that was at that time the judgment on 70 AD, I believe. But it's also, we take that, we can extract from that, we can bring that over into our lives and say, I need to be watchful in case Jesus Christ comes back today or tomorrow. I need to be ready. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house, that's going to be in the next passage here. But again, it's really important that because you don't know the time, we need to be alert and be on guard. Okay? Does that make sense? Hope you got something out of that. God bless you. Thanks for listening.